Hey everybody, this is Josh from Musilesson here. We have had a couple of requests for videos on the website and the YouTube channel here, talking about chords on the violin. And I know what you're thinking. You look at me going, Josh, that's, unless I'm mistaken, and you're going to pull out a bow and do something funky, that's a guitar. You're not mistaken. This is a guitar. It's my guitar. It's my Taylor 114 CE. Absolutely love this instrument. But that's not the point. It's not why we're here. I want to talk to you about chords, okay? And so in order to do that on the violin, which I'm going to pick up here in a minute, I've got to talk to you about what a chord actually is, okay? Now, I don't want to go too deep into this. Later on, we're actually going to talk about the theory behind chords and how to make them consistently. But as chords go, the very basics of chords are, in my opinion, and it depends on who you talk to on this one, so keep that in mind. Depending on who you talk to, they'll tell you something a little bit different. But my opinion is that a chord is made up of 3 or more pitches. And I'll tell you why I say that right now. If you're taking only 2 pitches, those 2 pitches can be used to make at least 2 different chords. Okay, and basically what I'm talking about is what we also call a triad. Okay, so for example, a standard triad could be made up of the pitches in a scale of the first scale degree, the 3rd scale degree, and the 5th scale degree. Okay, but what if I only take the 1st scale degree and the 3rd scale degree? Okay, well that means that I could also technically use the 6th scale degree and the 1st scale degree and the 3rd scale degree, and I could make a chord out of that. See what I'm saying? So I could actually vary the chord a good bit, at least in 2 ways, if I'm using just basic 3-pitch triads. So for our practical purposes, a chord is made up of 3 pitches, okay? And so you would get something like, for example, okay, now that's a C chord or a C triad by technicality. Okay, that's 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, if we're talking about scale degrees, okay? And that's basically how you build the chord. And I'm going to get into that more in another video. This is just kind of a cursory look into this, and I'm going to talk to you about how we apply this to the violin. Now, in the violin, most of the time you'll see people playing 2 pitches at a time, okay? 2 pitches. Flip that around. Still 2. Okay, 2 pitches at a time. And those, I have been trained, and I grew up knowing them as double stops. Again, double stops because you can actually take another scale degree, because we're only doing 2 pitches, right? And you can actually add a 3rd scale degree and make another chord, or make a chord, right? Make a different triad. Now you can use different pitches to make different triads. So if you only have 2 pitches, together, it's a double stop because there's still a little bit of an element of an incomplete situation where you can add other pitches to create different triads or different chords, okay? Now, so I'm going to put the guitar down, and I'm going to do that on the violin, all right? So this actually might end up being a 2-parter here where I talk about how you make the chords and triads here, and then I show you how to actually make a few of them. So we'll see how that goes momentarily. But this is how you would do something like a chord, a 3-pitch triad on the violin. I'm just going to do a G chord. Okay, so that's what I would call a chord or a triad. Okay, and that's using the G major scale, and I chose pitches 1, 3, and 5. Okay, from the scale degrees 1, 3, and 5 to make that chord, to make that triad. But you see that a lot. You see that a lot. A lot of times, fiddle players, you'll see that in concertos. You see that in a lot of music, and a lot of pieces. You'll use an actual full triad. Okay, and that is what I would call personally a chord. You've got 3 scale degrees. Okay, and you use them and you play them. All right. Now, a lot of times you'll actually just do double stops. Okay, and we could take any like 2 of those pitches of that triad that I just did. So I could do right, and I can do just on the A and the E string there, and I can make a double stop out of that. Now that is technically that's going to make it sound like a G major chord. Or I can do okay, and that still sounds like a G major chord as well, but it's because we've heard it already as the full chord. right? And I did, and I separated them there to make that a full chord, okay? Now, on the violin, if you're doing a full chord, you're going to have to play at least 3 strings, okay? And that brings me to my next point. You're going to end up doing something called a broken chord, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. It's not broken like we would say a glass falls on the ground and it breaks, it shatters. It's not broken necessarily. But what you have to do is you have to separate it 2 strings by 2 strings, okay? So let me give me an example of that. And first let me tell you what I'm doing here. I'm using a G note on the high E, so I'm using my second finger, what I would characteristically call a low 2, okay? And I'm using my first finger, a regular first finger, on the A string, and I'm using an open D, okay? So I'm going to go... Okay, now here's the thing about that. I can't, with my bridge the way it is, it's not slanted enough for me to be able to play all 3 strings simultaneously. Now some modern bridges do that. Most notably, a lot of fiddle players like to do that. Okay, they make their bridge, I don't know if you can see it, they make their bridge slant much more and slope much more over down towards the E so that they can play the E, the A, and the D string simultaneously. I don't have that. I'm more of a classical player, so I break my chords rather than play all 3 notes at the same time. So let me just give you that, okay? So you have that knowledge now. You can do with that what you will. If you like that type of bridge, we can talk more about that later in another video. Just let me know in the comments section if you want more info on that. And let's talk about broken chords a little bit more. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take the open D string, okay, and I want you to play your first finger on the A string. Regular first finger is a B natural, okay, and you're just going to go, okay, so, and you can play this in any pattern that you want. It's just you want to practice making that actual chord, or that actual double stop, I'm sorry. Okay, you want to do that. Now, let's take the other part of the chord, which is the top half of the chord, okay, which is the 1, the B natural, and then the low 2 on the E, which is a G natural. Right? Okay, and that's what you want to do up there. Now, we're going to combine the 2. We're going to play the D and the A together, and the A and the E together. So we're going to have to go from an angle that allows us to play the D and the A, drop the elbow, to play the D and the E, I'm sorry, the A and the E together, okay, so. Okay, and I want you to do this in the same direction. So it's going to kind of be like a slur, and the end result will be very much slur related, okay, so you're going to do, right, end result. Let's practice this just a little, okay, take a couple seconds here. We're going to go, okay. Okay, and that's how you would do what we would call a broken chord. Now you can absolutely add another string into the mix, and in this case it makes it very easy, and use all 4 strings because I've got my open G string here, and that makes me do a G here and then a G on my E string. So I go, okay, and now depending on the song that you're playing, you could do the D and the G string, the D and the A string, and I retook my bow because I was running a little low on it, and the A and the E string there. You can do that, or you can just do the D and the G and the A and the E, which would be, okay, it kind of depends on what you're doing. Fiddle players will change that up depending on the rhythm of the song. Classical violinists, if it's a very quick chord, like for example if you're doing it in an 8th note or quicker, you're just going to do 2 strings, 2 strings. Okay, so like that at the beginning of Eine kleine Nachtmusik, right? Which is a Mozart piece. At the beginning there, you can hear that, and that's how we do that. We play that very quickly, so 2 strings, 2 strings to get that done fast. Okay. Now this was just the G chord, okay, and not even all the ways that you could make the G chord. Okay, so that's the tricky part here. What I may do, let me know in the comments if you want this. I can actually probably do a video for you to do some of the basic chords for the basic keys that you're going to have to, that you would mostly be playing in. I could do a video of that and help you guys out, and kind of go from there. So just let me know in the comment section what you'd like, all right, and I can go further. But that's basically the difference between a chord, a double stop, how you would make a broken chord, which is a very big topic there if you're playing especially classical music, and definitely some fiddle music too as well. But let me know in the comments section. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it worked out for you. Let me know if there's anything you'd like in addition to this. Check out our Facebook page, Musilesson, okay, on Facebook. Hit me up here on the YouTube channel if you've got any more questions or you'd like to just request more videos, okay? And be a part of the community. And remember, music is magic.